Now this is a new one for me, which surprises me because it's not actually that far away, but I never seem to have discovered it. This is the Oxrail 2024 exhibition presented by the Oxford and District Model Railway Club. We start the show at Tony's Forest. The layout is in 014 and is presented by R. Edwards. There's a fictional backstory to this layout, and it goes like this. Tony was the owner of this forest in the 1890s, and he built a narrow gauge railway to bring timber down to his own sawmill. This was extended during the Great War, when there was an increasing need for timber. However, it fell out of use afterwards. It saw a new lease of life during World War II, when parts of it were used to get more timber and quarry stone. This section portrays the line coming up the hillside to a passing loop, with the old line forward now disused and overgrown. The line reverses and continues up the hillside, while a newer branch leads to a quarry which now supplies Shropshire County Council with roadstone. The area is still known as Tony's Forest, but the railway remains known only to a few enthusiasts and the local population. There are some rare locomotives still in use and unknown to many enthusiasts. However, this is the late 1950s, and modernisation is on the way. Who knows how long this little backwater will survive before being noticed by someone in the council. The future is very uncertain. We head to the Great Western and Bristol Goods shed. This layout is in O gauge by P. Boyce. It's a 1:43 fine scale O gauge model of part of Brunel's timber goods shed at Temple Meads in Bristol, as drawn by J.C. Bourne. If you look closely, you might even see old Brunel himself on Iron Duke. The buildings are based on GWR and Bristol prototypes. The adjoining industrial area of Pipe Lane and Temple is modelled with typical buildings, which also cleverly uses them to disguise the fiddle yard. Now there he is, the man himself, just hiding on the footplate there. You can spot his stovepipe top hat. And look at the detail of those models, absolutely beautiful. It's a mix of standard and broad gauge track, and it's all hand built. The locos also have such fine and fantastic detail, including, if you look just under the boiler, working inside motion. That is absolutely gorgeous. The boy also come along to the show, and the advantage of his height is he can capture all that wonderful detailed roof from underneath. Look at that. The Oxfordshire 009 Society was also at the show, presenting many of their modular layouts and this little beauty, which is Port Hallow. I last saw this layout in 2022, when the Society held their own show in Stevington near Wantage. The layout was in development and still is, but it's vastly come along since last time. All the buildings on it are scratch built in card, and many are based on real life structures. As well as Port Hallow, the 009 Society brought along their modular layout, which is always different whenever you see it. In fact, if you watched my last video of an exhibition, the Didcot show, there was 3 modules there, and this one consists of at least 8. Altogether, the layout is known as Long Sidford, and it uses the modular baseboards, which is now in over 20 modules. Many of the modules represent different places in Britain and further afield, such as the South African module, which will be seen a little bit later. Here we can see a Baldwin locomotive of ex-Linton and Barnstaple ownership arriving at Tanworthy, whilst Rennius awaits the road to go in the opposite direction. We follow Rennius round past its American-style loco and coaches until it heads on to the next module, which is certainly very unfinished. However, that doesn't matter, because it all goes together and looks brilliant. It also seems to be great fun, and the people running this layout seem to be a bit of a competition to try and do each other over by sending as many trains as possible in the other direction to try and muck up their fiddle yards. Sounds like great fun. And as we pass over the River Wye, we enter Africa. If you look at any map, you'll see that's absolutely correct. And Rennius arrives at the station as a Baldwin 460 awaits to depart with its own train.
Do you want a train, Keith?
I'm sending you one. So straight, immediately mine comes in, you can set up the other one.
Okay.
This will go straight out. You can send me up one because this one will go out straight away.
I'm not certain of the name of this module of the layout, but it's certainly one of my favourites. I love the railway passing through the town and the high detail that's there. This viaduct scene is also very splendid. As one Baldwin arrives at the station, the other departs, going over the viaduct and back in towards the town.
$1 changeover, everyone. $1.
As you can see, there's more than one module and it's still a work in progress, but that doesn't matter because it really does show how you can build these modules, put them together and gradually get there. And it's always delightful to remember what you've seen before, and when you see the layout again, see how a layout has come along.
Is that just running light?
Yes, we just because I couldn't.
Here is another particular favourite module of mine, with the harbour scene, the water mill, and I really like the carriage shed, which has a very nice garret parked just in front of it. We get another view of the watermill just before 040 ST Prince passes with the passenger service.
This control is entirely different to that control. Remember which one you're doing.
Before we go, one more look at that lovely town scene and all the wonderful detail on it.
What we need is one of those ladder things like they have at Wimbledon for young players, and they'd sit there and just peer down.
We go to Tetsudo, which is a Z-gauge layout by P. McConnell. A small layout of 1.5 metres by 65 centimetres featuring items from many countries. 2 independent double tracks provide running for suburban and freight on one and mainline or Shinkansens on the other. Tetsudo is pure fiction and was built for the owners and hopefully your enjoyment. We come to the Midland region and Todmorton, which is a layout in N-gauge presented by E. Purcell. Todmorton Midland is a terminus in N. It is assumed that the Midland Railway decided to try to tap the lucrative traffic around the north of Manchester and towns like Rochdale and Oldham. However, when they reached Todmorton, the money ran out. The services are varied and include local trains to Keighley, longer services to Leeds, Bradford and Skipton, and plenty of holiday specials to spot. Here we see an austerity tank engine sorting out a freight train before departing, and the arrival of an ex-LNER J39 on the passenger service. We now come to the Little Himalayan Railway, a layout in 009 by G. Perkins. Experience the charm of Indian Hill Railways in 009. It's a unique narrow-gauge model railway which captures the spirit and atmosphere of India's toy trains in 3 ultra-compact dimensions. Hailed by visitors to the real thing as capturing the essence perfectly, the Little Himalayan Railway pushes what's possible in the 009 genre. The layout is most clever in its compact design. It doesn't take up much space, but the track climbs up the hillside, as you can see by the locos going backwards and forwards for the various points. This beautiful layout has featured in publications such as Continental Modeler. There was some very delightful compact layouts on display at this show, including, I'm going to try and pronounce this, but I'll probably get it very wrong, Falschezane, which is a HOE, or we like to call it 009, layout, which is built on the back of a 600mm by 600mm canvas painting, which was retrieved from a skip. It shows what you can get in such a small space. But even smaller than that was the next layout, which is built in a standard box file. I think it does have a name, but I didn't quite catch it. However, it's delightful. Look at that. It can just be tucked away on a shelf when you're finished. And thirdly, was Scole, an O-gauge layout built by L. Rose. This initially served a country estate whose owner wanted to be able to export produce from his excessive garden. The layout imagines that the railway had continued up until the earliest days of BR, and is days away from being closed. The idea is to show you that you don't need a huge space to be able to model in O. We move to a mixture of gauges with Puffin Colliery, mostly 009 but with a little bit of 00 gauge, by J. Stevens. Puffin Colliery is located in the Welsh countryside, although by all those locomotives I can see in the sidings you'd think it was Sodor. It has its own narrow gauge which provides a connection with the main line to transport coal to the docks using a transfer dock. Now I've seen this layout many times before, and every time I put it on a video the owner tells me that I've pronounced the name wrong. So I thought this time I just won't say it and you'll just have to read the title card underneath. However, it is a delightful Austrian layout featuring HO gauge and HOE gauge, and it's presented by G. Novak. Unfortunately, when we went to see it, I think there was a few electrical issues, so this is the only footage I've got of it. However, if you look back in some of my other exhibition videos, you can find this layout, and it is wonderful. The Wisbech and Ousewell tramway certainly had an aura of the unusual, and Ousewell St Jude is no different. This layout is in 00 gauge. Now, the real Wisbech and Ousewell was a light railway, and a proper one at that, serving part of the fens. It ran alongside the public roads and had to operate under special rules. Passengers boarded the trams straight from the ground, and at first trams stopped as required. This meant that special locomotives and coaches weren't needed. And they are present in this layout, but unfortunately they're in the filler yard, while this LNER Sentinel does some shunting around Sir Good strength. The scratch built, and I'm assuming the scratch built, was, or possibly kit built, but it's a J70 tram with Wisbech and Ousewell tramway coaches. They looked absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately I didn't catch them on the camera, but you can enjoy this shunting, which I think is rather delightful. You don't see many, but when you do, I think it's absolutely delightful to see really old exhibition layouts that kind of show the past and what was done before. And this layout, Bossington, is one of them. It's an 00 gauge layout presented by the Oxford and District Model Railway Club and was built for the first Oxrail exhibition back in 1964. The layout measures 6 foot by 1.6 and it's a terminus, showing how compact and elegant GWR branch line terminus layouts could be constructed. And they were very popular at that time as well, I believe. It uses largely off-the-shelf components from the 1950s.
Oh, that's... I can't remember the name of the cup thing. It's a type of cup thing.
Thank you. I was getting
enjoyed this video, and if you have so, please click the like button and make a comment below. It helps the algorithm, which helps my channel grow and helps other people find it. If you haven't, don't put anything nasty down below. Just click the dislike button and you should hopefully not see my videos again, but hopefully you do like it. If you want to see more like these, then click the subscribe button if you haven't already. I also do a podcast and I also do my own model builds, so there's plenty to follow on my channel. Hopefully you have enjoyed this, you will come back, and I'll see you again next time. Oh, you're still here? Then why not watch another of my videos? There's exhibitions, layout builds and podcasts.